Hey there, pals. Welcome back to 100 Miles, 100 Days on a $100 Treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my cat Crookshanks. And today we're going to walk a mile, as we always do, in preparation for my trip to Disneyland, and where we're going to walk the 100th mile. And we'll talk about Disneyland today, how to use the app, and we'll look at some of the crafts I'm making. So let's take a walk. All right, pals, you ready to get this going? Here's the countdown. Come on, everybody, here we go. And let's ramp it up. Glad you're all here again. Made it back for day 56. 56 miles, pals. Oh my goodness. This is insanity. But we're gonna keep going. Speaking of like the number of days that we have been going, now that we're getting closer to the actual Disneyland trip, I started really looking at my days till the Disneyland trip, and they weren't matching up with what I thought was my 100th day. So it's what I get for trusting AI on Google. I asked, I just Googled at the very beginning, like, what is 100 days from now? It was like March 15th. I said, okay. And that's where I set all of this up so that 100th day was going to be in Disneyland. And now that I'm getting closer to it and I've marked things out on a calendar, and I'm like, something is off. And it's because day 100 would actually be March 14th. So I guess we'll just say we're gonna skip a day for travel. You on board with that, pals? I hope so, because me and numbers just, we don't exist on the same planet. I exist where there are creative things and no time, and and when numbers get involved, I get a little. So I hope you guys enjoyed, even though I had to use a lot more of my time yesterday to get through those Haunted Mansion ears. I hope you enjoyed the next steps in finishing that. So I wanted to compress it all into that one video because I have someone waiting for the ears, and and I did, show the finished product on my live stream the other night. And yeah, because I've kind of been pushing that one back onto the back burner a couple of times, that was like, it is just time to get this done. And I finally had a moment where I could set aside a couple of hours and really concentrate on getting them done and filming all of that. Because, I know I talk about this all the time, and it's not so that you can, it's not because I'm trying to garner sympathy for, woe is me, I'm having to do this 100-mile thing and it's taking up all of my life, but but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot more time than I ever imagined it would take to just film a daily vlog, edit it, get it out at a reasonable time, which I don't always get right. Sometimes things come out a lot later than I expect them to, but life is happening around me, and I'm doing the best I can some days. There's days where I'm just, it's like wow, me, if I was someone standing outside of myself looking at what I've been able to accomplish in 56 days, and still so far have not missed a day completely, that it's more than I thought I would be able to do. And I've doubled down, and I'm going to continue doing this for the next 44 days, and then even more, because I will take you, even though that 100th day is really going to be a travel day. I will still publish something and take you along on those days. You know, it'll just, by that point, it'll just be the whole trip will be the 100th mile, and I'm very much looking forward to all of that. I can't wait for more sun and warm, and I'm going to start working on those patches and share those with you. Start working on those outfits, and yeah, just these days, I tell you, these days that the rain comes back and it gets dark again and it's cold and I don't want to get up. I don't want to get out of my I don't want to get out of my warm Sherpa blankets and get up and wander around this cold 100-year-old house and wait for it to get warm so I can start doing my workout. But I know that there is more than one pal out there that is getting out into a cold garage every morning and walking along with me too. So I just try to get out of that funk and move on and do the best I can that day. And today is just one of those days. It's been cold and rainy for a couple of days. And after the high of having such beautiful weather, even though it was really cold, it was so beautiful and the sun was out every day, and I was feeling great, and every day was like, yes, we get to go outside and go walking, and and then come back to the reality of Oregon, which is cold and rainy. And there's a reason, there's a kind of a long-standing joke in Oregon. I mean, there's quite a few long-standing jokes in Oregon about weather-related things here, but there's a big thing that we can say when people who are not from Oregon come to Oregon, and they say, "Wow, it's so beautiful, it's so green," and the joke is, there's a reason. You got here on a good day. There's a reason it's green. We are living in a temperate rainforest, my friends. Other jokes include, as you heard over the weekend, like don't stand still too long in Oregon. You'll start to grow moss. That we have webbed feet. All right, so why don't we go ahead and start a recording, and we're going to just take a look at what the parks look like today. First thing I'm going to do is look at the weather. I mean, you can see Salem, Oregon, rain, rain, rain. What I'm going to do is look at the weather in Anaheim. So, for this next week, we are looking at mid 70s to low 80s to actually upper 80s on Friday. So we're looking at really nice, warm weather. So when you think about like how does weather affect what's going on in Disneyland, and you'll see sometimes that rain will slow things down. They have had a lot of rain this year, or this winter rather, and it will slow things down. But looking at how beautiful that weather is right now, that it's the end of January, beginning of February we're coming into. So anybody who's got quickly upcoming trips, you know you're going to have some good weather. And if we look at what our lightning lanes look like, switch over to the tip board. And actually, let's start in Disneyland. We'll go over to DCA after we've looked at Disneyland. But we are on a weekday, and it is in the 70s. And we have got some very nice looking standby queues. Look at that, 20 minutes for Haunted Mansion with a return time of right now. Indiana Jones. This does not happen, my friends. Indiana Jones at 25 minutes with a right now return time. What? I don't think there's anybody in the park today. Everything else is 5 minutes. Matterhorn is 25 with a return time of 5 minutes. This is a really good time to be there. You wouldn't even need Lightning Lane, most likely today. Space Mountain, 30 minutes with a 6 o'clock return time. That's pretty well unheard of. Yeah, it looks like a really good day to be at the park. Let's go back up and switch over to DCA. And we've got a 40-minute wait at Goofy Sky School with a 5:20 return. Now Guardians, I have to check out what's going on with Guardians, because they might have, it might very well be that they have a gantry down, because this has been, I've noticed that this has been happening on a fairly regular basis this week when the parks are very dead, that Guardians has a standby line of 75 minutes and that the lightning lanes are sold out when everything else is just like walk on. Even Radiator Springs has a 65-minute wait. So Guardians of the Galaxy has a longer wait than Radiator Springs. Like, make that make sense. I don't know how to make that make sense. And everything else is pretty much the standard for a slow day. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a little bit of research. I might as well just look it up while we're here. Is Guardians of the Galaxy down a gantry? 7 months ago, nothing. Nothing is up here recently, so I'll have to take some time to pay attention to the vloggers that I usually watch that do like weekly updates on the crowd levels and looking at whether or not that particular ride is in full working order. So what happens with Guardians of the Galaxy is that it has 3 different elevator lifts. They call them gantry lifts. It's just what they call them in the the universe of the ride. If all three are running, they can cycle through people pretty quickly because each gantry lift will hold 3, 5, 10, like 12 people? No, 20. How many people are across the back? I will have to look that up and put a nice graphic right here as to how many people can sit on Guardians of the Galaxy. But it'll cycle through that many people in one gantry, and then they're cycling all three, which have, I believe, each elevator shaft has 2 gantries. So they are moving forward and using the elevator lift, while the second one is loading more people. So if all three are working, then there's a pretty consistent usage of the queue. And when they are down to 2, it drops it down by a third, and if they're down to 1, it drops it down another third. So they're operating at a fairly limited capacity because everybody's waiting for the one gantry lift. So with a consistent wait time of 75 minutes, it kind of makes me think that there's at least one gantry down. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at those patches that I started working on. All right, so there's a couple of things we're going to do when making these patches. So you've seen that I like to make ears that match the outfits that I'm wearing. So I'm going to start with that today because the printout that I have will probably work pretty well with these ears. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide whether or not I want black ones or blue ones. My go-to tends to be the blue, but and I think that might be how I'm going to go ahead and do these, because I am going to use Minnie and Mickey on these ears. Now, one of the things that to keep in mind while I'm doing this is that I'm not reselling this in any way, shape, or form. So don't ask for them. But the first thing I'm going to do is remove the bows from these, which I have a lot of these particular clip-on ears. For some of the stuff that I do like this, where I want this sparkly thing, I will buy these off of Amazon and create my own. The ones that I sell in my shop, I actually make all the way from hand, but go ahead and get these bows off. Just like before, I have to be really careful because this is mesh and it will melt very easily if I overdo it. Yeah, there's like a super fine line between getting this glue to activate and melting everything. So I've got one done. Let's go ahead and do the other one. And it doesn't have to be too pretty, because even though I just took those bows off, because I don't like those big sparkly bows, I'll be putting my own bows back on here when I'm done with the patches. We will come back with how I trace these guys, how I build those patches, and we'll work from there. And there it is, 1 mile. Woohoo! All right, congratulations, pals. That's 1 more mile. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow on 100 miles, 100 days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my cat, Crookshanks. Here's my ears for today. They're villains to go along with my villain t-shirt. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow. Bye, pals. I'm getting all kinds of messages today. I don't know why. Let me check them. Get a little off. Gosh, I cannot use words today. There are some days where I just have not talked to real people for a while and I don't know how to put a sentence together.